Hi, we're here today and we're going to be doing Ada's eyebrows today. And here's Nishan, who is the best person in the entire state with drawing eyebrows, but let's not talk about that. Ada here is a student and she has had her eyebrows tattooed in the past, and right now there's a little bit there underneath the hair. And what Nishan's going to do now is she's going to draw them on again for her to see if we could get the shape a little bit better and explain how she's drawing them on. And as soon as they're drawn on, then we will go ahead and tattoo that shape on. And then once it's healed, after about 4 weeks, then we will re-look at her eyebrows again. Hello, Nishan.
Hello. Okay, I'm just going to do a quick light to get any residue. So you may want to close your eyes until it dries. Just make sure the surface is clean and dry so the pencil goes on easy.
With a tattoo, you normally have to get it touched up again anyway, every year or so.
You can open your eyes if you want.
Okay.
So what I want to do is kind of start where the brow naturally starts. You want the point to start for tattooing purposes, kind of somewhere between the inside corner of the eye and the center of the nostril. Kind of where the brow naturally starts, but not outside the hair. Okay. So then for the corner, you're going to go corner of the nostril, further forward than that, but that's okay. That'll help camouflage the tattoo. When it comes to the arch, you want to keep that arch on the outside, like when you're looking straight ahead like you're doing, you want it outside of the colored part of the eye.
Good morning, we are here today with Ada. She's a new student. She has had her brows tattooed previously somewhere else, and it's been a while. They faded, so what we're going to do today is go through the process of making sure that the shape is correct. And with us today, we have Nishan. Hello, Nishan. Nishan is absolutely wonderful with the eyebrow shaping, and she has been here with us for a long, long time. It's 5 years, and she is going to go over the proper way to shape the eyebrows when you tattoo them, which is a little bit different than if you're going to the makeup counter. This is the proper way when you're tattooing it. And Nishan's eyebrows right here are tattooed. They look beautiful, as you see. Okay.
So first thing we're going to do is kind of mark the points. You just want to have a general idea. You'll get to a point where you won't have to actually mark them. Center of the nostril, straight up, is about where you would want the brow to start when it comes to waxing or filling in. For tattoo purposes, you want to keep the tattoo inside the hair as much as possible. So you're going to do center of the inside corner of the eye, straight up. You kind of want the front of the brow, the front of the tattoo brow, to fit in there somewhere. So you see how your brow naturally kind of starts where I started that first mark? You just want it in the middle there somewhere. So that's a good point to keep in mind. Then corner of the nostril, corner of the eye, end of the brow, right? Now that again is the point you would want for waxing purposes or for filling in. As you age, what's going to happen is that point is going to drop. So you don't want to take the tattoo brow out quite that far, because even though we can see you had this done years ago, we can still see where the tattoo is. So you want to avoid creating that shadow with the tattoo. So what you're going to do is bring it up a little bit. Just bring it up a little bit, you know. So where your brow is naturally ending right now, right about there is about good.
So in other words, if you're tattooing it, if you go to a makeup counter, they're going to maybe go a little bit farther out, but we're not a makeup counter, we're a tattoo facility, and it's different. So you just have to understand why we're cutting it a little bit short, and that's for future purposes, so it looks good 10, 15, 20 years from now.
Exactly. And I mean, the idea of the tattoo is to make it easy. to deal with your brows. You no longer have to spend 15 minutes in the mirror trying to get them on perfect. You might just have to swipe a little powder over it just to make them just right.
So for the tattoo, Nishan, when you do it, the tattoo is great for people drawing them on every day who don't want to mess with the shape, but they should never throw away their brow pencil because you could enhance it when you leave. You could make it darker when you go out, and it gives you a lot of options. So we're doing it very conservative.
For the arch of the brow, when you're looking straight ahead, it should fall somewhere on the outside of the iris of the eye, which is the colored part of the eye. That's naturally where most people's highest point is. But if you look at her shape, her highest point on top is here. The highest point underneath is a little further forward. So we want to pull that back. So when you start filling in the brow, you're almost going to connect the dots. You're just going to kind of draw a straight line from one point to the next. And you see how that really just pulls her eye up and back? That's what you're after. You want that lift. That's where the sexy in the eyebrow comes, and that's very important. Very, very important.
Okay.
So you see the difference in the two right now.
It's a slight difference.
Just a slight difference, but it makes a difference.
I like using a dark pencil to draw when I'm going to do the tattoo because I want the line very easy to see and very easily defined. You're going to find that clients are going to say that it looks too thick. It's not that it actually looks too thick, it's just very dark. Density, width, and depth of color all get called thick. So you really have to pay attention to what they mean.
Okay. So when you're drawing it on, we're going to draw it on in a dark color. That doesn't mean it's going to be tattooed in a dark color, and it looks darker with the pencil, but when we tattoo it, and once it peels, it's going to look different, which is why when everything heals up, we'll do another video showing exactly the difference. So once we tattoo it today, it's going to be dark, but that's not how it will end up. But this is the shape right here.
And you can do the front rounder or you can do it square. I usually suggest somewhat rounded because you can always come back with a pencil and square it out.
Okay.
It's very easy to do, but it's a lot harder to round off a brow that's been squared because you basically have to draw more brow.
And before anybody comes in, normally what we tell them is to come in with your eyebrows drawn on the way you're used to so we could see what they're used to wearing every day, what color they're used to wearing every day. And then when they come in, we could look at it, we could adjust it, make sure that the arch is where it should be. And nobody ever gets tattooed unless it's drawn on first so they see exactly what they're getting before we tattoo it. And that's what we're doing now. Even though you had this done years ago, we're still going to draw it on again to see if we could enhance it and just to make sure everything is perfect.
And this is the part that I like to spend time on. I really want everybody involved to feel comfortable about the shape. A little bit thinner than you would for a filling with like powder or pencil. It's just going to depend. It's just going to depend. If someone has a thicker brow already or likes their brows drawn in really heavy, then they're probably going to want you to tattoo it thicker, but you got to be careful with how wide you go, especially when there's no hair to support it.
And with the tattoo, then, more conservative is better. And even though right now, again, it's looking dark, but that's because we're drawing it on for the purposes of tattooing it.
How's that shape for you?
Look good. Like it.
Okay. And Nishan's going to do the same thing
To the other side?
to the other side.
The second side is normally the one that takes much longer. because you have to match it, and you're drawing from a different angle and from a different side, and so it's going to take a little bit more normally to do that second side, just because you're trying to match.
Okay.
And this is only on the first visit. Now, after it heals up about 4 weeks and she comes back in to have it looked at again, it won't take this time because the shape will be in. So this is the longest time right here.
So they should look the same shape.
As much as possible, yes.
Okay.
And they're a little bit severe right now, but we're
Just
We're just
drawing.
outlining them for tattooing. And then they will be dark for about 10 days. And for 10 days, you'll have to put an ointment on them a couple times a day. And we like to use Aquaphor. That's a good ointment. So you would just put a pea amount of the Aquaphor on when you wake up and go to sleep. That way they don't get too dry. If you don't put any ointment on it, then they get dry and the
cracks.
tattoo won't stay as well.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So during the week, you can't put makeup on your eyebrows. You can't pick them, scratch them. There's an aftercare sheet online that goes over everything that you can't do, but you need to treat it as though it's an open wound and take care of it for the 10 days. And then after 10 days, it will flake off and be a little bit light. And then over the next 4 weeks, it will darken back up and the color will even out. On darker skin, African Americans, when it flakes off, sometimes it will form a white haze, which looks like it fell off and the hair's missing. But if you just wait another week or so, everything comes back. So it's important to tell your clients, do not throw away your pencil after it's tattooed, because the color may not show up for another few weeks. And that's the most difficult part of healing.
Enough time to get used to having a super dark eyebrow to then take it away.
Because it won't be this dark at all afterwards.
Exactly. They're like,
And
oh, you like that? Goodbye.
and we're conservative. We would rather have you come back and say, oh my gosh, it's too light, can you add to it? Than have you come back and say, it's too dark, because you could always add. It's just very difficult to take away. Somebody has eyebrows, the ink actually does not stay where there's a hair. It only stays where there's not a hair. So although it might look dark today, by the time it falls out, it's only going to stick to where there's no hair. So if somebody loses hair in the future, you may need to adjust it, which is why I tell people to get it checked after the 4 to 6 weeks, and then get it checked once a year just to make sure that the shape is okay, they haven't lost any more brows. Because when you get a regular tattoo, they normally shave you. We don't want to shave your eyebrows because we like you to have some natural brows if you have it.
Okay.
And another thing you want to watch for is, you see how you naturally raise this brow higher? A lot of people do that. So
Okay.
you want to sometimes, like someone like you who does that, you're going to make them close their eyes. Close your eyes for me. Because when I'm drawing it, I'm compensating for that, but you're not always going to have that eyebrow up that way.
Okay.
And I kept it kind of peaked because I noticed you like kind of a sharper arch.
Uh-huh.
And it's not bad because, like I said, you're like me, you have a rounder face. Sharper it works on you.
Okay.
Someone who has a thinner face with a lot of hard angles, you don't want to give them a sharp brow because it's just going to be a little harsh on them.
Okay.
Okay, so what I'm going to do now is,
That shape is good.
I think that the shape is good. We're going to shut the video off for now, and we're going to do the second phase of the video, which will be Nishan outlining it and tattooing it. And once it's healed up, we will do a follow-up video just to show how everything is ending.